Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling strangely guilty, confused, or even ashamed, but couldn't quite explain why? Chances are you were being manipulated. Everyone has the ability to manipulate. It starts surprisingly young. Even as kids, we bend the truth, tell white lies, or try to outsmart our parents. But as we grow up, those tactics evolve into something far more complex. It becomes harder to tell manipulation apart from genuine honesty. That's why today, we're breaking down the most widely used manipulation tactics people encounter as clearly and quickly as possible. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to The Aesthetic Mind for more deep dives into human behavior, psychology, and the hidden patterns shaping how we think. Your like and subscribe really help us a lot. Thank you. Let's kick things off with aggressive jokes. When someone cracks a joke at your expense, it's not always just for laughs. These jokes often serve a deeper purpose, to subtly humiliate or isolate you in front of others. The manipulator usually hides behind the phrase, "it's just a joke," but their goal is to make you feel small and excluded. Next up is anger and fear. When someone blows up over something minor, it's often a way to keep you on edge, a form of emotional control. They may later claim their outburst was justified, even if it clearly wasn't, and this crosses into gaslighting, where they attempt to convince you that your interpretation of events is wrong and theirs is right. Speaking of control, blackmail is a classic. If someone has private info about you and uses it to get you to act a certain way, that's blackmail. It could be subtle, like emotional leverage, or severe enough to be a criminal offense. Blaming is another subtle tactic, especially common in relationships. Rather than owning their mistakes, manipulators may shift the blame to you to protect their ego. It's about transferring guilt, making you the scapegoat to avoid personal accountability. Let's talk about violating boundaries. Manipulators often push limits to see how far they can go. If you've made it clear that something is off limits, like physical intimacy or personal space, they may test or outright ignore that boundary. And to cover their tracks, they might combine this with guilt tripping or gaslighting, painting themselves as harmless or even loving. Then there's the old trick of changing the subject. When a manipulator gets caught or confronted, they may quickly pivot the conversation, anything to deflect from their behavior. Later on, they might reframe the situation entirely to make themselves look better or make you question what really happened. All of this leads us to coercion, a broad category that includes blackmail, guilt tripping, and pressure tactics. The manipulator's goal? To get you to do something you wouldn't normally do through emotional force or social pressure. Let's continue by talking about one of the most common tools of manipulation, criticism. But this isn't just straightforward negativity. Manipulators often wrap their criticism in a warm coat of concern. They may say things like, "I'm just trying to help," while pointing out your flaws in a way that subtly undercuts your confidence. The trick is, once you feel unsure of yourself, you're more likely to seek their approval and more easily controlled. And of course, they'll conveniently offer a solution that somehow benefits them. Then we have crowd manipulation. This one's used all the time by politicians and public figures. By using emotionally charged language, words that spark fear, excitement, or hope, they can rally a group to follow their lead without question. It's not about facts. It's about making the group feel like something urgent is happening. And when everyone else is stirred up, it's easier for the manipulator to slip in their real agenda. Another everyday tactic? Denial. Whether it's a kid insisting they meant to do that, or an adult refusing to admit they were wrong, denial is about avoiding responsibility. It often happens when someone feels vulnerable or exposed, and instead of facing the truth, they shut it down entirely. Downplaying takes that denial one step further. Here, manipulators try to make a harmful act seem harmless or even noble. They might laugh it off, explain it away, or spin it into something they claim was for your benefit. Think of someone saying, "I was just trying to help," after clearly crossing a line. Sometimes it even comes with a self-deprecating twist, making it harder for you to stay angry. Now let's dig into emotional blackmail. This tactic goes straight for the heart. If someone knows what makes you emotionally vulnerable, they might use that against you. One example is threatening self-harm to keep you from leaving them or setting boundaries. This tactic works by creating fear and guilt, a powerful combo that can keep someone trapped in a relationship or situation they want to leave. There's also fake moralization. If someone knows their true intentions wouldn't be accepted, they might repackage them as morally righteous. This can look like claiming they're standing up for justice when they're really just stirring division, or emphasizing their own virtues to make others look bad by contrast. And here's the tricky part. Sometimes people are genuinely well-intentioned. That's what makes this tactic so hard to spot. It lives in that gray area between integrity and manipulation. Of course, one of the smoothest tricks in the book is flattery. If a manipulator wants you on their side, they might butter you up by complimenting you. You're smart. I know you'll agree with me. It sounds sweet, but it's calculated. The goal is to tie your ego to their opinion, so disagreeing with them would feel like you're going against yourself. And we can't ignore the most infamous tactic of all: gaslighting. At its core, gaslighting is about making you doubt your own reality. If someone took one of your 5 Easter eggs and tells you there were only 4 to begin with, and says it convincingly enough, you might actually start to believe it. It often shows up alongside blaming, denial, and downplaying, creating a fog of confusion that makes it hard to know what's real. Coming up next, we'll tackle tactics like generalizing, ghosting, guilt-tripping, hoovering, and more. Stay tuned, we're just getting started. Let's start this next round with generalizing, a subtle but powerful form of manipulation. Instead of dealing with specifics, manipulators make broad statements that seem true but actually hide nuance. Phrases like, "You know how people like that are," or "everyone thinks so," are designed to pressure you into agreement. It's not just about stereotyping, it's about creating the illusion of consensus so you'll stop questioning. Now on to ghosting, something we hear about all the time in modern relationships. When someone suddenly disappears from contact, ignoring your calls, texts, or presence, it leaves you feeling confused and uncertain. The silence can create emotional panic. You begin to wonder what you did wrong, and that's exactly the point. Manipulators use ghosting to elevate their perceived value, making you chase their attention, feel dependent, or even desperate to win them back. Then there's guilt-tripping, one of the most emotionally draining tactics. If you make a choice that doesn't align with what the manipulator wants, they may act hurt or betrayed, not because they are, but because they know guilt is a powerful motivator. They might bring up past favors, religious beliefs, or even deceased relatives to make you feel like you're doing something wrong, even when you're just taking care of yourself. Hoovering is a less talked about but equally damaging manipulation tactic, usually found in toxic romantic dynamics. When someone senses that you're about to leave them, they might suddenly change their behavior. They might become overly kind, offer grand gestures, make promises, or even threaten self-harm, all to suck you back in, like a vacuum. But once you're hooked again, the cycle often resets, and their harmful behavior resumes. Let's talk about infantilization. This is when someone talks down to you, treating you like you're incapable or mentally unfit. It's not just disrespectful, it's designed to break your self-trust. If someone consistently acts like they know better, talks over you, or corrects you like a child, they're not helping. They're manipulating your self-image to gain control. Then there's isolation, a tactic that's especially dangerous in romantic or family relationships. Manipulators may see your friends or family as threats to their control, so they'll try to cut off those connections. It can start subtly: "Your friend doesn't really care about you," or "Your family just doesn't understand us." Over time, if successful, they become your only emotional lifeline, and once that happens, they have full control. Another powerful emotional weapon is love bombing. If someone pours an overwhelming amount of affection, attention, or gifts onto you early on, it can feel euphoric, especially if you've been starved for love. But here's the catch: it's often not sustainable. Once the manipulator gets what they want, the love may vanish just as quickly as it appeared, leaving you confused and longing for that initial high. Let's not forget the most basic yet widespread tactic of all: lying. Manipulation often boils down to this. Whether it's through omission, distortion, or straight-up fabrication, lies are the backbone of most manipulative behavior. What makes lying so effective is its simplicity. It's quick, easy, and if done confidently, can go unquestioned. Next up, we'll take a close look at passive aggression, insecurity, exploitation, projection, and the manipulator's toolkit for twisting your words and emotions in their favor. Keep watching. We're not done yet. Let's jump back in with a tactic that hides in plain sight: passive aggression. Unlike open conflict, this form of manipulation lets someone express hostility while maintaining a layer of deniability. They might give you the cold shoulder, make sarcastic comments, or forget to follow through on something important, and when you confront them, they'll insist they were just joking or didn't mean it like that. It's frustrating because it keeps you guessing. Was that real? Or are you overreacting? Closely related is playing on insecurities. This tactic digs deep. Manipulators often study what makes you feel vulnerable. Maybe it's your looks, your intelligence, your social status, and use those against you. For example, they might say things like, "Most people wouldn't put up with that," or joke about things you're already self-conscious about. Even if it's framed as a compliment, "I love you despite all that," it reinforces the idea that you're lucky to be tolerated. That's not love, it's control. Projection is another favorite. When a manipulator feels guilt or knows they're behaving badly, they flip the script and accuse you of doing exactly what they're doing. If they're guilt-tripping you, they'll accuse you of manipulation. If they're being dishonest, they might claim you can't be trusted. This tactic keeps you on the defensive and distracts from their own behavior. Now let's talk about shaming. Where guilt-tripping often targets what you're about to do, shame strikes at what you've already done. It's a tool to make you feel unworthy, dirty, or wrong, often used to steer your behavior in the future. If a partner constantly shames you for your past or belittles your interests, it's not just rude, it's a form of control. The goal is to make you seek their approval to feel clean or accepted again. Shifting the goalpost is a slicker tactic, often used in work or power dynamics. Say your boss asks you to complete a specific task. You do it exactly as requested. Then they tell you, "That's not what I meant," or change the standard altogether. This constant moving target keeps you in a state of anxiety, unsure of where you stand. It's designed to make the manipulator look blameless when things go wrong, or to keep you chasing approval you'll never fully get. Now, for something a bit more public, smear campaigns. When manipulators feel threatened or want to discredit someone, they might start spreading negative rumors or twisted stories. It's not just about one-on-one manipulation anymore. It's about reshaping how others see you. This tactic can be especially damaging in friend groups, families, or workplaces. By poisoning the well, they gain more power while you lose support. And what about the silent treatment? This tactic is familiar to many of us, especially during arguments. But when used manipulatively, it becomes a punishment. It forces you to carry the emotional weight of the situation. The longer the silence stretches, the more pressure builds, not just to apologize, but to take full responsibility. The manipulator gets to stay emotionally distant while you're left stressed, hurt, and eager to fix what may not even be your fault. We're down to the final stretch, and some of the most dangerous manipulation tactics are still ahead, starting with threatening. This one is pretty straightforward. If you don't do what the manipulator wants, they promise consequences. If you go out tonight, I'll break up with you. If you tell anyone, you'll regret it. Threats can be loud and aggressive, or subtle and cold. Either way, they're designed to instill fear, and fear makes people obey. Next is triangulation, a manipulation tactic that brings other people into the mix. Instead of addressing conflict directly, manipulators go behind your back to talk to mutual friends, family members, or coworkers. Their goal is to get others on their side and turn those people against you. This tactic isn't limited to relationships. It's used by toxic parents, colleagues, and friend groups. Triangulation forces people to choose sides and more often than not, it isolates the target even further. Then we have victimhood, perhaps one of the most emotionally exhausting tactics out there. The manipulator paints themselves as the one who's constantly hurt, misunderstood, or oppressed, even when they're the ones causing harm. The key to this tactic is emotional guilt. If you believe they're fragile or suffering, you're more likely to tolerate bad behavior. And if they convince you that you're the only one who understands or can save them, it becomes even harder to walk away. So, how do you protect yourself from all of this? First, be aware of how you feel after interactions with someone. Do you constantly second-guess yourself? Feel drained, anxious, or confused? That's often a sign something's off. Second, be firm when you disagree, even if it feels uncomfortable. Manipulators thrive in ambiguity. When you set clear boundaries, you give them less room to twist the situation. Third, don't isolate. If something feels wrong, talk to someone you trust. A neutral outsider can help you see things more clearly, especially if you're caught in a fog of emotional manipulation. And lastly, walk away when you need to. You don't owe anyone your time or emotional energy, especially if they make you feel unsafe, disrespected, or unworthy. Manipulation tactics are everywhere, in families, friendships, romantic relationships, and even workspaces. They're often hidden under charm, humor, or even love. But once you learn how to spot them, you're far better equipped to defend yourself. Did we miss any manipulation tactics you've encountered? Let us know in the comments. We read them all. And if you found this breakdown helpful, please give us a like and subscribe to The Aesthetic Mind for more insights into the psychology of everyday life. Your support helps us continue creating content that empowers you. Thanks for watching.